Hi everybody, this is Lindsay Davis. I'm here to give my Module 5 video reflection. As I was reading Chapter 6 and 7 in our Streamlined Instructional Design book, I kept kind of thinking about the difference between instructivist, learning, assessment, and instruction versus connectivist and constructivist. The two C's kind of seem to go together for me. It seems like in my experience, I've been teaching for 7 years, it seems like we are having a pendulum kind of swinging from instructivist with all of the standardized tests and all of the measurable goals and things like that we've been focusing on for the last several years, towards connectivist and constructivist learning with the new Common Core assessments and more project-based learning that seems to be going along with the Common Core. We're going from, kind of being a mile wide and an inch deep to a little bit more deeper learning. As I've been thinking about this swing, it's actually kind of gone along with the curriculum that I teach. As we look at the new Common Core goals in my school and have to kind of wrap our heads around this new type of learning and this new type of assessing our students, I've realized that as an AP teacher, I teach AP Physics, my students are actually already doing stuff that is similar to the Common Core assessments. The AP curriculum that I follow from the College Board has a lot of in-depth labs and also more project-based learning than I think a lot of curriculums have built into them in school districts that aren't using the AP curriculum. For example, we have several different open-ended labs that we do during the year where the students have just a problem that they're trying to solve, and as a teacher I have to do a really good job of kind of almost even sitting on my hands to avoid giving away the answer to my students. I have to make sure that ahead of time they have all of the prerequisite skills necessary in order to be able to accomplish the task that I know is coming up. But once they have those skills and then they have the problem presented to them, I have to then kind of hold back and let them accomplish that task on their own and come up with the process that they're going to have to go through. And so I've realized that as an AP teacher, I'm lucky enough to have already had a lot of the Common Core elements in my classroom already for the last several years. Another thing that the College Board curriculum gives me is very clearly, nicely worded learning outcomes that I can use to focus my teaching and to make sure that I'm on track and that my students are learning at the right level of detail and the right level of depth that they need to be learning at. So the next thing I wanted to talk about, another key idea that resonated with me as I was reading, is the importance of having alignment between the learning outcomes and assessments. This resonates with me in the other area that I teach. I teach AP Physics, but I also teach a remedial math class for students who got D's and low C's last year in their math classes. And so pretty much the first semester of this class is a review of the math skills that they've already seen, but maybe that they have some gaps or some misunderstandings in their knowledge. And so what I try to do with this class is to show them where we're going. I like to show them the problems at the start of the chapter. I do just one problem from each section with the students as we're starting a chapter, in order for them to have a clear picture of what is this chapter about. Do I already know how to do this? Do I kind of half remember it? That type of thing. And so they can have a clear view of where we're going. And I think that works really well because they, the learning outcomes are communicated to my students at the beginning of class, and then I make sure that the assessments that they then see are in line with what those learning outcomes were. Another thing that resonated with me that I was thinking about with my math classes that I teach are the necessity for timely feedback. That was something that the book hit on in Chapter 7 quite a bit, was that it's really important to give students really fast, if possible, immediate feedback. And with my math students who have a lot of misconceptions in their head, it's really, really important for me to get them, their grading turned back around as quick as I possibly can. And also, while they're doing practice in class, I make sure that I make the rounds with my students and look at what they're doing and try to catch mistakes that they're making before the mistakes become bad math habits. There's a quote that I tell my students all the time that if you make a bad math habit, like let's say you do a a list of 10 problems and you do them all incorrectly, it's going to take at least 100 times of doing those problems correctly to unform that bad math habit that they've gotten into. Hitting on the case study that I read case number 6, the one with Tina, and she was instilling the laptop program in grade 5 in her school district. I liked that case study. I thought it was interesting. I thought it was, very exciting to see all the progress that was being made with the laptops and how the students felt like they were learning and the teachers felt empowered. And then it was such a shame at the end to see that the key stakeholder, the guy who was fronting the money, wasn't happy with the learning outcome. He wasn't happy with the level of progress that the students had made. And that's where it's so important to make sure that your learning outcomes and your assessments are in line. And I think that was the main issue in this case study, was that there wasn't much alignment between what was happening in the classroom and with how the students were going to be assessed. And so I think those gaps need to be closed in order for that study to be successful. Thank you.